Admitting to a mistake is not usually a very easy thing to do, but it's especially more difficult to people with low self-esteem. And it's especially more difficult when a person can see evidence that they could be wrong. And they would initially refuse to acknowledge that evidence to themselves that they could be wrong, to be able to strongly convince the other person that they're not wrong. So they have to believe it themselves that they're not wrong to be able to convince the other person properly that they're not wrong. And one of the main reasons why they would deny an obvious mistake is because they're afraid it could destroy their self-image in front of other people. They're afraid that if I admit to you that I've made this mistake, then you are going to tell the next person is going to tell the next person, and before I know it, it's common knowledge. So I'm not going to destroy my public image because of this one mistake. But it's not just this one mistake that they're going to find out. Once they know that I've made this mistake, then it's going to plant a doubt to everything else that I do, everything else that I say. They're going to doubt everything else. They're going to think that I make mistakes frequently. They're going to have a negative image of me. And that's what they think they're worried about, that people's perception of them is going to change. You see, here's the thing, they can never know for sure that people's perceptions are going to change because they don't even know what people's perceptions actually are. What they do know is the assumption that they've created themselves about what they think other people think about them. It's a system of beliefs that they've created that other people perceive them a certain way. So for a person with low self-esteem, in this particular case, they would have an assumption that other people think that they don't make mistakes. Other people think that they get things right all the time. And so the thing that's going to be challenged by them admitting that they're making a mistake, even to themselves, is not really the perception of others, it's the assumption that they've created on the perception, on what they think other people perceive about them. And that's in their control, not other people's control. And it's very important for them to become aware of that first, that it's their own assumption that they're afraid of challenging, not necessarily other people's perceptions. Because another person may have made the same mistake, and they might actually learn from that person and how they got through it. Another person might actually show compassion to them, might have no change in their perception about them, or might already have a negative perception about them before this mistake. So that's the first thing to be aware of. The second thing is to be aware of the choices they have. And here we can look at mainly two choices. One is to admit, to acknowledge that they've made a mistake, and to see how they can learn from it, how they can grow from it. They can know more about themselves by admitting to the mistake or by acknowledging it themselves, what mistake they've made, and then perhaps secretly and privately work on the mistake. The other option that they have, which they're choosing, is to maintain their own assumption of what they think other people think about them. So if they choose, and in therapy, what we do is we don't make choices for you. You decide how you want to handle a situation, and we support you. But you have to be aware what situation you're handling and what options are available to you. So if they choose to pretend that they haven't made a mistake, to ignore, to deny the mistake, whether consciously or unconsciously, but in this case it would be consciously because they're being made aware, and they're choosing the option of, I want to retain my assumption of what I think other people think about me. I don't want to destabilize that. I don't want to disrupt that. That's what they're choosing. But they'll never know for sure what other people think about them unless those people sincerely express what they're thinking about you clearly, explicitly. But otherwise, it's just interpretations. You look at me and you see how kind I am to you, you see how nice I am to you, then you think, oh, I think nicely of you, I think kindly of you. But you won't know unless I actually tell you. And so what they have are interpretations that have informed their assumptions, which has created a belief system in them that people think about them a particular way, but they don't know for sure, and they couldn't know for sure unless those people express it. So if you're struggling to admit to mistakes, that you can see fragments of evidence that it could be true, then you want to look at why you're doing that. Why are you even denying to acknowledge it to yourself? Not even to other people making it public, but even to yourself. Why do you not want to acknowledge that you're a human being, that you've made a mistake, that you've made mistakes? And you could look at them one by one and see how you could try to correct them, learn from them, and grow from them. And then those conversations can help you see where your self-esteem is at.